Hi, I'm Tim from lapsdeshutter.com, and in this video I'm going to cover what to do if your Vizio TV is flickering and 8 possible fixes for your Vizio. So the first fix is to power cycle your TV. This is often the best way to fix a TV. It's a soft reset that won't cause you to lose any settings, and it's very quick and easy to do. So unplug your TV. Hold down the physical power button on the TV for at least 15 seconds to drain any residual power. Leave your TV unplugged for at least 30 minutes and then plug it back in and switch it on. If your TV is still flickering, then try changing your picture settings. So press the menu on your remote, then go to Picture and More and reset picture mode on the on-screen menu. That will return the picture settings back to the factory defaults. If that hasn't helped, then you can also manually change the brightness, contrast and other backlight settings to see if they have any effect. Reducing brightness often helps to stop flickering. The ambient light sensor can also be a cause of flickering in some cases, so try switching that off. And if you're a gamer and you're seeing flickering, then the Vizio Active Full Array is the cause of this. So you can remove this flickering during gaming by going to Menu, then Picture, More Picture, and switching off the Clear Action option. So Clear Action comes on by default when your Vizio TV is in gaming mode, but it conflicts with Xboxes and results in flickering. You can also try removing all HDMI and other signal cables. So there's a strong possibility that a poorly seated HDMI cable is creating signal noise. So just try taking out all HDMI cables and then bring up the on-screen menu. If the flickering has gone, then try reseating your HDMI cables one by one until you find the damaged cable that needs replacing. So it's worth noting also that if you have a Vizio Smartcast with HDR capabilities, then you need to use an HDMI 2.0 cable, as older HDMI cable specifications can cause flickering. You can see the specification of HDMI cable near the connector and replace this if it shows HDMI 1.4 or lower. Next, try updating the firmware on your Vizio. So most TVs have auto updating on, but you can't assume this is turned on for you. And it's important to note that automatic firmware updates only run when the TV is turned off but still plugged in. So if you leave your TV switched on all the time, it won't update the firmware. For older Vizio TVs, you can update by going to Menu, then Admin and Privacy or System, and check for updates. And now for some recent Vizio TVs that have a local dimming array for their backlights, there have been some reports of flickering after updating the firmware. This is caused by changes in the tolerances in the local array and can be fixed by manually changing your backlight, gamma, brightness and contrast settings within the picture settings menu. You can factory reset your Vizio TV as a final step before looking at hardware fixes. So to do this, you can go to Menu and then Admin and Privacy or System and reset to factory settings. Or just do it without the remote if you don't have that, by holding down the volume down input buttons on the side of the TV simultaneously. When you get a message pop up, you can release the buttons and then hold the input button for a further 10 seconds for factory reset. Now if your flickering is still covering the entire screen, then it's probably an issue with either of the internal boards. So the timing control or TCON board, which drives your TV's panel, the main board, which is the logic for your TV, and also where the HDMI cables and antenna plug in, and the power board where your power cable plugs in. The most common cause of flickering is an improperly connected LVDS cable on the T-con board. So try flicking the little catch to release these, and then removing the cables and cleaning them with compressed air, and cleaning the connectors as well. Often some dirt or grime gets in these connectors and blocks one of the pins, and that can cause the flickering, so make sure these are completely clean. Once you've cleaned all the connectors, if you still have flickering, then just have a look at all of the PCBs and check for any burnt areas where a component might have failed, or a capacitor that's not looking right, that's expanded. If you've got a failed component, you can either replace this with a soldering iron yourself, or it's usually easier just to replace the entire board. They're pretty cheap off eBay. Now, if your Vizio TV is flickering in one spot only, then that's a sign of a backlight problem. So the backlights, the LED backlights, come in strips of varying lengths. There's 3 or 4 LEDs per strip, and these are connected in series across your entire TV. It's pretty common for the backlights themselves to fail, so an individual backlight or one of the connectors between the strips can fail. It's usually better to replace all of your LEDs at the same time, so the backlight strips are pretty cheap to get off eBay. You can replace individual LEDs with a soldering iron, but if you have one failing, then it's likely that a neighbouring one is going to fail at some point as well. Some point in the near future, so it's better to just replace all of them at once, because the LEDs are located in the most difficult to access part of your TV. But if you want to see how you can access these LEDs and replace them, then there's more info on that in the linked article below.